I have set myself a 3-hour challenge, and it's to survive on this one block. Now, the block has a question mark on it. There's a reason. It's because it gives you one random item from this mod pack that we could possibly use to expand this island. Now, I've set myself a couple of side quests in this 3-hour challenge. 1, I want to make a house. 2, I would like to go to the nether. And 3, I would just like to survive. Very basic one, but I would like to survive. I'd like to have no deaths. But without further ado, let's get into the challenge. Timer has begun. Now, of course, I want to show you as much of this as possible, so we'll be speeding bits up. There may be a few little jump cuts, but the timer is there to show that there is no tomfoolery going on, and this is timed matter. So with that being said, first thing we're going to need to get is a sapling. And within the first couple of minutes here, we were having no luck. I was also noticing some of the items were obviously flying off. We weren't getting 100% of the items that we were mining. That is a big problem. So we needed to start expanding. And expanding is exactly what I did. And with this being a fresh mod pack that I've never played before, there are a couple of settings that I need to change. And I was doing that within the 3 hours. So although it's just a couple of seconds, those seconds were wasted. And the issue is with doing this challenge is our inventory fills up rather quite quickly, and we're going to need a chest. The only way we can get a chest is by getting it from this random block generator, or even getting like an oak sapling, a birch sapling, dark oak sapling, some sort of sapling, and growing it. Another issue I was running into is I was spending way too much time looking at what blocks were in this game, what items we were getting, what mods they were from, and things like that. Me looking at these things doesn't stop the timer. The timer keeps on going regardless. Whether we were getting some really cool items that if this was a normal playthrough, I would probably be keeping, but for the sake of this, I was literally just throwing them away and trying to expand on our island to the point where we finally got ourselves a grass block. We were just missing a sapling. It wasn't until about 11 minutes in we started getting some really cool items. So obviously the starting platform had expanded a little bit more, and we were getting some really interesting armors. So all the modium is actually within this mod pack, and we got an all the modium chestplate. We were also getting some cool decoration for the house that we were going to make, in that we got the questing rams trophy, because Twilight Forest is in this mod pack. And then not long after getting the questing ram's head, we managed to pull one of the most overpowered items in all the mods 10, all the mods 9, all the mods 8, 7, 6, etc, etc. The alloy all the modium pickaxe. However, when using this, I ran into a bit of a bug of it broke the random block generator quicker than it could generate, and I had to reload the world. Again, we didn't pause the timer for this, so again, vital seconds were lost. But with getting all these cool items, there was still no sapling. And still after 20 whole minutes, you can see our island has expanded, and we've kept a lot of interesting blocks. Again, things that I would keep if I was doing a normal playthrough, but this isn't. This is a challenge. And within the blocks that we have kept, we've actually now got a crafting table. So if and when we do get a sapling or some log, we could potentially make a chest, because we still don't actually have one. Now, there is one mod in this pack that I haven't seen for a ridiculously long time. That is inventory pets. And of course, the inventory pet that we get is the Christmas tree inventory pet, which we actually cannot use because it is not the month of December. So we go back to mining the randomized block, which is where we get something a little bit interesting. And it might not look interesting, but it's a flower pot. However, this flower pot has something in it, and that something is a white cherry sapling. That is our very first sapling that we have managed to get, and we still have that dirt block. So we're now going to grow that sapling. So perhaps maybe things are taking a little bit of a turn. We've still got over 2.5 hours left, and we end up pulling another sapling, this time being a mahogany sapling. So maybe we could use this one towards the house as well. We're 28 minutes in now, and you can see that we're starting to get a accumulation of doors. Now, why is that? Because obviously I want to choose whichever one would be best for the house. Now, of course, I have no clue what this house is going to look like at this stage. We're still waiting for the sapling to grow. However, we do get a pull from the randomized block that will help us immensely. And that is our first chest. It's a crimson warped chest. So no longer will we have a stuffed to the brim inventory until the chest eventually does fill up, which it will do because we have a full inventory. We'll need another one. And this tree didn't grow until about 37 minutes into this challenge. Once we had mined the tree, we could then replace the sapling, because obviously we need to keep the tree growing, and we could start making a little bit more of a platform where we could start thinking about making our house. However, this is going to be nowhere near big enough right now to support a house on, so we're going to need a few more trees to grow first. So with one extra tree grown, we started adding on to the platform. And in the meantime, I'm going to grow a mahogany tree. But it turns out the mahogany tree is absolutely massive. It took forever just to chop this thing down. But once we had finally chopped it down, we could then start planning the structure of the house. Before I knew it, 15 minutes had passed me by, we struck the hour mark, and we have not really done a whole lot. And we only have 2 hours left at our disposal. You see, our collection of things I would like to keep has expanded even more. Our island has expanded even more, and we've now got confirmation on where I want my wooden beams. And we're also trying to select what door would go perhaps best with this house. Now, I've gone for about a 9x7 house here, and our platform still isn't quite big enough to fit it all in. But you can see we've got cherry blocks along the outside with a 3 gap space missing for a window in the middle, with the mahogany planks just being set just behind those blocks. So with the platform complete and all the logs placed in and the planks placed down, we had ourselves an outline of what we wanted to go for. We could then convert all of our mahogany logs into planks and start building up the wall. Now that we have the walls up, while I'm waiting for trees to grow, I thought I might as well throw a few of our decoration pieces inside the house. For example, our grindstone, our crafting table, and furnace. I even went ahead and tried to add a beach chair, but it didn't look quite right in the place, so I ended up getting rid of it. And before I knew it, a tree had grown, and we could start placing in some more of our cherry wood logs. And I think as well, I'm going to strip these so at least it looks somewhat okay. Don't get me wrong, this is not a house I would build normally, but with the time constraints that we have and things like that, I don't really have much options. And then I went ahead and even added one of the most important decoration pieces that we are probably going to get for this house, and that is the bongo. I also added a little table with a candle and some cake, because who doesn't like cake? We're halfway through this challenge, and what do we have to show for ourselves? Let's be honest, not a lot. We've got half a house, we've not even travelled to the nether, we still need to get all the glass, we still need to put the roof on the place, we still need a bed. There's still a lot of things that need to happen. The only thing we're on track to completing is the do not die. We haven't died yet, and that one should be the easiest one to complete, is do not die. We're still waiting and growing trees for the roof. It's been a pretty slow process, I'm not going to lie to you. But our luck right now could be better. But one of the drops from the random block generator was a spawn egg, and it was an Easter egg. I was kind of intrigued. I wanted to see what it was, so I spawned it in. And it spawned in a villager who wanted to trade a few things. Things, I'll be honest, I couldn't give him. I was going to just let him roam about, and then he started making some very strange noises, and I couldn't deal with it. So he ended up meeting his fate and is now no longer with us. We then went and added a bookshelf that I managed to get with a plant pot on top. And now the 2-hour mark is creeping in, and we've only just started flying some of the roof. However, very quickly, we ended up running out. Suddenly, 2/3 of this challenge has gone by, and we're still working on the roof. We've managed to get some of the glass panes in. Yes, they are a bit mix and match, but ultimately glass panes are in. We've still got massive holes in our roof because it's not complete, and still we'd only potentially completed one of our challenges, and that's the do not die. We have not even gotten a piece or a sniff of obsidian yet through our 2 hours of playing, and it was looking rather quite bleak. And it was more towards this time where I was thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to fail the challenge, I might as well at least complete 2 of the 3 objectives and go all out on the house. And so I was adding decorations as I was going still, and waiting for trees to grow so we could add more onto the roof and things like that. And it wasn't until about 2 hours, 50 minutes into this challenge that the roof was actually complete. However, this build wasn't finished. We hadn't finished any of the windows. There's still a few blocks to place in for walls, and some smaller details that we'll add just to make this build a little bit better. So details around the windows were added. So any blocks that were at the bottom of the window and the top of the window were changed to stairs. And we continued the walls on the 2 sides up to the roof. So as we were coming up to that 2-hour 30 mark, it was looking very touch and go on whether we were going to complete even the house at this point, because we still needed a fair few glass panes. And it was certainly not looking like we were going to go to the nether. However, one mod pulled through, and that was inventory pets. I was so happy when I pulled this pet, because I completely forgot about this pet even existing. And what does this pet allow us to do? It allows us to teleport to the nether and teleport back. However, we could do this at any point within the next 30 minutes. And I really wanted to complete the house. So I went on a heavy focus to finish the house. I was using a pickaxe on the randomized block just to even get the panes that was required. And I really didn't think we were going to get it. I will be very, very, very honest with you. I thought we were just going to have to go to the nether, call it quits, and we've done at least 2 of the challenges. But by the skin on our teeth, we managed to get the last panes that was required with only 6.5 minutes left on the clock. So once we had placed that last pane in, we could then use our nether portal pet to transport ourselves to nether and transport ourselves right back in time before that clock hit 3 hours. Meaning we had completed all 3 of our challenges within 2 hours, 53 minutes, 57 seconds, and 46 milliseconds. So if you want to see more of these challenges in the future, make sure to smash that like button, leave some suggestions down in the comments below, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you all again in the next Minecraft video. Goodbye.